Hey, Squid Strengths fam, it's Riot here. Sorry I've taken an unexpected hiatus. I've been heads down working on my dissertation, but now that I have a bit of time, I want to share with you a conversation I had with our silence musicians, Tasha and Roger. We had a bit of group therapy, and I think this is going to be an exciting and interesting discussion from a perspective you may not have heard before. Now, we also want to excuse some of the technical glitches we've had, so you may see a bit of rawness in the following. So if you're listening to this, you won't hear a thing, but if you're watching this, you may see a few little hiccups. But please excuse those, because I promise you the conversation is worth it. All right, here is Tasha and Roger.
Well, welcome back to Squid Strengths. I'm really excited to bring on two of my favorite Team O teammates, Roger and Tasha. You've heard me talk about them in the Fate of O, but now we're going to go into the forensic audit because, well, you remember that Team X looked like this choir that was well conducted, and Team O, well, we started late at the very least, but there's a lot more behind the story. So, all right. Well, why don't we just get into this? First of all, thank you so much for joining us, Tasha, Roger.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is fun.
I've had a chance to chat with a lot of folks from us O's to the finalists, and the one piece that we've been missing here on Squid Strengths is your story. I call you all the silence musicians. Now, why did that even happen? So why don't we just get started and just do a little intro for you two. Tasha, why don't you just tell a little bit about yourself and one thing that you wish the cameras got to see more of?
Yeah. So my name is Tasha Dwhaj. I am a model, fashion show producer, and live streamer and content creator. I do many things. I wear many hats. And this was a lot. Okay. Let's just start with that. This was a lot. And I really wish that they would have shown more of the conversation that happened with the first original four that came up to the podium. So there was a lot that happened there that we didn't really get to see, starting with that.
Okay, or we'll make sure we dive into that. We're gonna go like chronologically through this too, because even though you only see 13 minutes of it, this was about a multi-hour ordeal. It was an ordeal.
An all-day affair.
Roger, my man Roger. Now we met right before we entered the dorms. I think we literally entered the dorms together. And then I'm like, dude, this guy's awesome. And then you mentioned, I remember, I'd been teaching music for many, many years, yada yada. And lo and behold, our first test is counting. So Roger, tell them about yourself and one thing you wish the cameras got to see.
So what's up, everybody? My name is Roger. I am number 350. All right. It's something that I think I'm an educator. I'm a musician. That's basically all I've done my entire life was teach music, pretty much. Something I think that, or I wish that the cameras would have caught more, just like what was really happening in our room. You guys have no clue of how that room was off the chain or what was going on, even before we could just calm people down to even have the conversation that Tasha had mentioned.
Well, okay. I can't wait. I can't wait because I still learn a lot about this day. You know, that this was almost a year ago, like this happened. And we haven't seen each other since. And I think that there's just a lot to learn. Also, just about human nature as well. That's one of the key parts about strengths is that our innate talents maximized. That's the way I look at our strengths. But we have to make sure we keep that in mind, that we can optimize. They can also bring us down if we don't optimize. And we also have to keep in mind other people's strengths. So I think all around this was an opportunity for us to learn more about how we can take this into the real world. But let's learn about this specific experience. So Roger, now looking at the tape, I remember you had like one brief second, one of the players pointed at you. But one thing you didn't see is that you saw, like, I went up to you. So first of all, before you even like got to that point, in terms of the selection of did you think you would be somebody that would volunteer given that it was a counting game?
Well, I'll first say that I went in there with the mentality that I didn't want to be in the forefront at first. All right. And I know my strength, and I know that I'm like pretty much like a natural born leader, and it's hard to just not take a part. So I was back there, and then when you came, you pushed me up, literally pushed me up. It was like, hey, we need you to come up here. We need you to do this, right? And just from the conversation that we had before, and how we had bonded and talked and everything like that. So I no, I didn't think so. If it was left up to me, I probably would have just been standing there for that moment, because I was feeling like I'm not in that moment. You see what I'm saying? I'm not supposed to lead that moment, but turns out I probably should have kept leading that moment.
Man, yeah. Well, also, I think if you did, I would have gotten some more screen time.
Yeah. Well, I stopped the room. I stopped the room twice. I didn't get no screen time for that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all remember that.
know.
I was the one who said, if you hear my voice, clap once.
Well, they left a lot on the cutting room floor, but yes, you were the one that got
that.
And then it makes sense, for you have number 5 timekeeper, and you have number 2 deliverer. You're definitely much somebody that can execute and go. Both of you are catalysts too, so it's not a surprise that you want to get things going. But I think on the other hand, Tasha, I don't remember how you got up there, because we didn't get to meet until afterwards. So tell us a little more about how you got up to the front of the room and were somebody that was going to be one of the leaders of the game.
So as soon as I heard that we had to count seconds, immediately my 5-year-old brain kicked in, because when I was a kid, I learned to read time via standard clock. And because I didn't understand the subdivisions, I would only be able to tell time when the hand lands on like a number, right? So I would stand there and wait until that hand, the big hand, hits a number. And no matter how long it takes, right? Because it's 5 divisions until it hits the next number. And I would stand there and I would count the seconds. I would just stand there and count the seconds. So I learned from a very, very young age how to internalize what a second feels like. And I started to apply it everywhere, everywhere I went. Like even when I sit at a stoplight, I will sit there and just count the seconds until I know the light is going to turn green, and I won't even look. I'll just start driving because I know it turned green, or like I'll just test myself on a daily. So it was so insane to me that was the challenge. And I'm just like, I can do this. And then I turned to Penny. Something about Penny's energy. She was very friendly and, positive and just sort of upbeat. I turned to her, and now Penny then says, go talk to that girl over there. I think they're choosing her. So I don't know who this precious girl is, but I walked over to her and I was like, can you count? Can you do it? She's like, I think so. I'm like, I know I can do it. And she's like, you know you can do it? And she's like, I'm like, yeah. And then she gets Tommy, I think it was. He was one of the New Yorkers, the boxer. 420, player 420. Remember that? I believe it's 420. He's up there and he's talking to the twins, and he turns around and she tells him, she says she can do it. And he's like, Doc, you can do it. I'm like, yeah, because he's in my cohort, so he knows me, right? So he's like, you can do it. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And he's like, all right. He's like, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna tell the twin. He's my boy, right? And he tells him. And then I turned around, right? He was over there for like 3 or 4 seconds. And I was already like, oh, I don't think he's going to choose. I don't think they're going to choose me. And I turned my back and I started walking away. And then I hear my name and he's like, come. He's like, you're in. And I'm like, are you serious? He's like, yeah. So that's literally A to Z, how I got into the,
Wow.
Yeah. Because I was just adamant. Like, I was just like, I can do this. Like, I know I can do this. So, yeah. And
you just needed me to hear that you could do it, because then I would have pushed you up too. It would have been this back and forth.
yeah.
Yeah, he took me all the way to the front. All the way.
I physically was like, Roger, you are coming up here.
Wow.
He found
That's
me
how
in
you got.
Wow. He found me in the crowd.
Wow.
Yeah, you were just like you were kind of like you were just kind of like this.
Yeah,
Whereas if I knew you, if I knew you, and I knew that you even were a singer, you didn't even have to tell me that you knew what a second was. You could have just said, "Yeah, I sing." If that's all you said, and I would have brought both of you here. I would have stood right. Then it was stood right there as like. What was his number? 431. You have to like. I am not leaving here until these two people are happening.
The funniest part about that is that I kept hearing people screaming, "We need musicians! We need musicians!" And I'm literally standing there saying, "It's not about music! It's not about music! We need somebody." I'm like, "We need someone who has internalized what a second feels like." And I was like, "Hell bet!" And I'm an opera singer. I'm a classically trained singer. So
You're saying, yeah.
yeah. So like, and then it was so beautiful when I saw the X team it was so crazy that he had a song that was 60 beats per second. Like, I don't know a single song that's 60 beats per second, but he's a musician and he is a professional musician. So I'm operatically trained for fun. You know, I love to sing, but he does this for work. You know, so. I thought
he thought that through. Yeah, I'll give him props for that one. There, yeah, he thought that through. That was the perfect approach.
Bruh, that was fucking metal. I'm sorry, but that was.
He was a conductor. He was basically a conductor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think though that the numbers were exactly what they say they were.
No.
Oh yeah, this is stuff we've had to edit. We've had to edit out of our podcast. But yeah, I don't think it was 12 seconds. But that's the official. I remember there's a few moments that I remember so vividly, like it's like ingrained in my mind, and that's one of those moments. And I was even afterwards, even after the game, I was like I could see that in the edit. I could see me physically like, Roger, you have to do this. And you kind of like, well, okay. I could see within that few seconds of bringing you up to the front, you went from like, oh, okay, I can do that. You know, like, what was going through your mind there? Where you just, I mean, like, from my angle, it looked like you didn't want to do it. You wanted to lay low, understandably. And then somehow that switched.
That's just natural me. If I'm being put to front of a situation, then I'm going to quickly assess the situation and then try to figure out how to get some type of control and then a plan to move forward and be successful. So that's just natural me. So it wasn't that I was scared. It was more so that was my plan. I was just chilling. I'm like, well, we're going, hopefully we'll go on and maybe, because I didn't even tell anybody who I was. Nobody knew I had a PhD or I have four college degrees. No one knew that. So I didn't say anything about that or talk.
I wish I knew.
Is that why you're Dr. Dubois? Dr. Dubois, if I'm pronouncing it correct?
Yeah, well, that's more so my online name, but Dr. Jackson, they just call me
Doc.
Should have been me
Doc
and you.
Rod. Well, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. It should have been you two. Hell yeah. This is the story of the duo that could have been. Could have been. But okay. Yeah. So now we're at the point where, Tasha knew immediately she needs to do it. Like the conviction was yes. Yep. Roger, you were not even thinking you could do it. I just gotta lay low. But then I got you up and you must have thought, okay, yes, of course I can do it. So I think a lot of it's like the difference in the slight difference in your strength. So Roger, your top 5 are catalyst, deliverer, coach, filler map, which means like you love to learn, and timekeeper. And Tasha, your top 5 are optimist, catalyst, empathizer, coach, and peacekeeper. So you both share coach and catalyst. Tasha, I think like your optimist definitely is like, I can do this, and you have the skill, but on top of that, you see yourself as a natural optimist? Like you see the best in everything?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
so then
my brain.
Yes. And what's interesting here, and it's a bit of a paradox in a way, even though I don't know where timekeeper lands for you, Tasha, and Roger, I don't know where Peacekeeper lands for you, it could be number 6 for both. But Timekeeper is somebody that can actually you can meet a deadline and you can get your stuff done when it needs to get done. I would almost think that would flip because, well, we'll get to where I think Peacekeeper could have been something where Roger, you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be the one in the forefront, but we'll get to that point. So now we have both you two up there. Now tell me who else was up there before we get to the count itself. You mentioned there was a discussion with the twin and a couple other folks. Let's now talk about both of you are up there. We know that Ida and Jacket are somehow still involved. Can you all recall what's happening there?
Well, what I remember is almost turned into like a 5 group people, 5 of us. Us two, Jacket, Ida was up there, and the twin. Mm-hmm. And at that time, it seemed like everybody kind of backed off for a minute, and we were able to have like a private discussion, mm-hmm. and then pretty much just who wants to do it, pretty much. And then at one time, we was like, we'll all do it, I think, at one point. And then after a while, the twin was like, he wasn't going to count, period. He was just going to press the button. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, and that's when Ida and Tasha were. Because I was just like, okay, well, let's not have no more controversy. Yeah. And he was like, well, we'll let them two do it. And I said, well, the lady should be able to do it then. And I just kind of backed down.
Yeah. That's pretty accurate. I just remember Ida coming to, I tested Ida on her count. Do you remember that? I told her, I'm like, do it, let me see. And then I was like, no, too slow. And then I corrected her. And then we practiced it for a few seconds. And then and then I was like, okay. But then she reverted back to being slow, and she also she did start late, and I did start on time when the counting did start. So I thought that was interesting because I feel like I feel like I was a little stupid in that moment because once I realized that her count was off, I should have just said no. I should have just said for you to take over because Jack doesn't have a music background and you do. So.
That's a hard moment, though. And I say the same thing about myself, too. I had beat myself up a little bit, but I was like, we were in the moment and, trying to make something happen. And also in that wanted to keep a little peace or just a little, respectfulness between the group or stuff like that. So, I didn't want to step on anybody's toes.
Yeah, feel that.
Well, so you see... We bring up a couple of things here. Okay. So one is, let's just get Roger. So we call this one strength harmony or the Peacekeeper, which is a similar enough strength. So one of my hypotheses that you're pretty high on harmony. Now, while it doesn't show up in this top 5, just to say that that's something that you bring up here. The question is, great, that likely is your your nature in the real world. Should that have been your nature in this world, in this specific situation? Or should it be your catalyst and deliverer kind of stepped up and say, I need to do something? When you reflect on that, looking at the context of the situation and the setting, would you have done something differently there?
Oh, yeah. I had already reflected on that before we even got back to the hotel. I already knew what I should have done. Yeah, once I got control of the room, I should have kept control of the room, and that would have been easy to do. And that was the ultimate mistake. And that's the bottom line. That was the ultimate mistake.
Oh, Tasha, you're yelling. I can't hear it because you got on mute. Stop pressing the mute button. I want to hear you interject. I want to hear you you should stand up there.
I keep muting my ass. I don't know why.
You're like.
You gave it up, Roger.
Yeah.
You gave it up. Why did you give it up?
$4.56 million wasn't tough.
I gave it to the twin.
Yeah.
Who was supposed to be
who was lost. He's literally and you can even see it in the edit. So even my friends who watch it, they notice the difference between the X twin and our O twin. The X twin was like this, and the O twin was like deer in headlights.
Yeah.
But if you think about it and you think about that moment, that moment happened before we actually knew who he was or knew what he might have been able to do.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But we got to make some quick decisions here. And I
Then
knew,
to find out,
so,
right?
and we find out. So, like, what? So, why did I bring you up? First of all, it's not just you're a musician, and it's not just because I liked you. It's because I thought you could lead the room. I really did think all of those things came together. It wasn't like explicitly, oh, Roger can do this, this, and this, but just my gut was like, Roger needs to be up there, and there was no one else that needed. I didn't need to be up there. Like I wasn't trying to be up there. My role was to bring you up there. I should have also kept you up there, but maybe that's a different story. But we know what happened in between. It devolved. So before we get to the actual counting started, why did Jacket sit down? Like he was not somebody that was standing up. We knew why Roger sat down. Do we know why Jacket sat down?
I feel like he probably just followed suit. Like he just,
I think he did too.
yeah, he just figured that's what he had to do because everyone was sitting, and since Ida and I were the quote unquote counters, you know, he probably thought it best for him to sit down, and yeah, and Roger did the same, so he probably, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like there
Well,
was
I mean,
I feel like there was some talk about after a certain time got there, or you reach a certain time,
Right.
the Jacket would
Okay.
come up or something.
So let me touch on that. I just was about to say
okay,
that.
yeah, you were
So
in.
Jacket and I were having the conversation, and he's like, oh, you know, I told him, he's like, oh, we should all count. And I'm like, yeah, you can count in your head, so this way we don't throw each other off, right? So, and I'm like, when you get to 400, raise your hand, right? Just let me know. And I said it to, I feel like Ida also heard that part of the conversation, and I feel like you were there, but maybe you don't recall. But I had that conversation with Jacket, and we agreed that he was gonna, you know, signal me essentially when he hits 400, and that was the agreement. I was not gonna say when you hit 456, whatever. So we agreed on that. So while we were counting, he was already at 400 and I wasn't. He was going too fast. Ida was going too slow, and I just knew that. And you saw me shaking my head saying no, right?
Let's pause on that because I don't want to go too far ahead because that's a very key moment.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want you to get too far into that, and you're like, but we got to go. So basically, he sat down. So Roger, you sat down. Probably was the kind of the peer pressure of the room because at that time too, and let's kind of recall what you didn't see on the edit. We had, let's just say, a few older men like in the front, like this, like basically like eyeing everybody that's up there, the twin and all of y'all. And you had this like intimidation tactic. You had all this. I remember yelling. I remember Henry going all the way up there. I thought he'd had his Guion moment saying, stop, you know, like, so this is all before the count. This is all before this started. So all that stuff happened. From my understanding, the X room, besides like the discussion that you saw and having spoken with pretty much everybody else with X's because all continued, they pretty much got their shit together pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. We never did. Mm-hmm. We never did. So even in this chaos, like the fact that the room never settled down the first place, or what I'd say, they never become NPCs, non-player characters. You know, the rest of us need to shut up and just allow the few leaders that have been chosen to lead in whatever capacity. Then it kind of cascaded. So it sounds like Roger, you said let the ladies go. Let's just say that probably is one reason that Jacket sat down, is that he didn't want to seem like he's taking over the ladies, which we see this on air, so we'll talk about that moment, which is the infamous stand up and tackle. So we set the stage. We set the stage, and we have Tasha, you're standing up. We have Ida there. We have the twin. And in the edit, I remember seeing you already kind of like in your ear counting, and then Ida goes, ready? So they already said start like seconds ago.
Did you see my face?
Yeah, you were like, watch, we'll put that on screen, wherever that is, right here.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Oh my god, why has she only just started counting?
Yes, I did see her face.
Wow.
What? Right?
That's not wait a second. Oh my god, bro, that was such like a moment. I swear to God. I was like, damn, girl.
I was on the floor counting. I just started counting.
Yo. And the fact that like she started, not only did she start counting late, but she started counting slow. And then I had to go over. When I went over to her, I remember her being there when I said it. When I said count to yourself so we don't interrupt each other. And if we are all in the same vicinity, then we know we're close. Like we know we're at least close to the mark, right? But I just started counting out loud. And I even
So you
like
two had that
shushed her.
conversation before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all had that before. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember in the edit you can see you going like something like that, like
Well, that
which I think means shut up.
No, that one was towards Jacket, I believe, when I was going like this, and I was like,
Where
no.
was?
Yeah, I think that was Jacket.
Oh, okay.
that was to you.
This is before. No, this was before he stood up. I think this was before. So you mean he was counting out loud as well, sitting down?
No, he wasn't counting out loud. Before he stood up, he was trying to get my attention.
Your attention.
Yes, and I didn't see this in the edit, but I have this vivid memory of Jacket like reaching towards me, trying to get my attention, and I like was like no, and then he got up. Yeah.
Oh, that's so you were actually shooting him off.
Yes.
You're shooting him off.
I was basically trying to let him know that I wasn't there yet. Yeah.
So okay. So now let's think of like the tactical error here, because maybe even though you know what a second is internally, and in real world, Tasha, you by yourself can do it. You have a room of over 200 people, not knowing what the hell is going on. And in the X room, we see them actually counting out loud. When we see the musician counting out loud, we see the other 3 people or 4 people counting on beat. So they're keeping a beat while going 5, whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess now, in retrospect, a year later, do you wish you counted out loud?
I do, because, it was beautiful on the X's side because one person counted out loud and the rest of them helped carry the beat. And that is essentially exactly what I would have done, except I would have done it with the entire room because that's what I'm used to doing, counting in rhythm, teaching people how to count in rhythm. And I do it as groups. So for me, I feel like it would have been very easy if I kept the tempo, I conducted the room, and everybody was able to stay on point. I think we would have been able to achieve something similar. Now, keep in mind, they did have a song that was 60 beats per minute. So I still feel like they maybe would have come out closer. I honestly don't know. But I think we would have been pretty neck and neck. To be frank, I think we would have been neck and neck. I think it would have been very
I can't
close.
speak for them, but I know where we pushed the button, we weren't there.
No, we weren't. We were behind.
We weren't there.
We were
Nope.
behind. I know that.
We
for
were
a fact.
behind.
Yeah, hell yeah. I know that for a fact.
I counted the whole time. I sat there. I counted the entire
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Somebody jumped. I don't know. It's just like somebody jumped up and was like, push the button, or that would make something made him push the button.
So Jack gets up, walks over to me, and because he did that, and this was like my vision, I was trying so hard not to pay attention to anyone, just to keep my count. And then there was a flurry of activity, just a flurry of activity.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit. All of it gone, disappeared. And I ran over to Ida.
So let's get to that moment. Let's get to right before that moment. Let's get into this hypothetical world where it had been you and Roger keeping count. So what I'm hearing is what could have been if simply we just got our shit together and we just figure it. Tasha, you said, I teach counting, and Roger's like, I teach music. We know what a second is. Okay, Tasha, you keep the second. I'll be your second standing up there. Just you two doing And then you would have taught the room, I need you to count silently. And you two actually counted, or one of you counted out loud. I think it's the counting out loud part.
I would have made the room count out loud. Let's just say.
Oh.
Yes.
You would have made the room count out loud.
That's how I get it to work. Yeah.
You sure you're gonna get these 200 plus people to count out loud at the
Oh,
same
yeah.
time?
Oh yeah. I've
No,
been
that would
on
have been
that
cool to see
many.
on TV.
It would've
You
been.
know that. You know you would have gotten your moment there. You know that, right?
Yeah. And that's my forte. It truly is. Like I've taught
Like that would have been your like, whew, like God moment.
That would have been
Tasha.
the moment right there. Yeah.
That would have been an edit.
Yeah. You can ask
Yeah.
any of my former students, will it be able to tell you, like, yeah, perfect 4 every time. Tasha can count on point every time.
Yeah. But I'm not mad at them. They came up with a wonderful
Yes.
system. That
Yes.
system worked. I think one of our issues was that we had people who honestly, and I don't care where we may have gotten, if we had got to the next level ourselves, that they would have never worked together even to go to the next level after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The O's are
Well,
wild.
okay, we'll get to. I want to get to those what ifs in a little bit because I want to hear where you think we could have gone. And actually, we have an episode where we talk all about the what ifs if we survive this one coin flip to call it the count. So okay, so that's what I think Roger and Tasha would have done. Would have gotten. You said you've got an entire room to count out loud. That I would have loved to have seen that.
I've never done
knowing
that
these
many
people.
I've never done that.
I don't know. I don't know if you needed all of us to count out loud. I maybe you just needed Roger to count out loud with him because that's all you need is another person and not Ida, who, bless her heart, she's a nurse. She saves lives, but this is CPR is 100 beats per minute. And so now let's get to that infamous moment because, okay, you're counting. It's very clear. You're listening in your head. She's counting out loud, but somehow you got to zone her out. And then as you mentioned, now, what we don't see is we do see is Jacket pretty much doing the loudest, quietest yell. Like if there was somebody that can yell, but as quiet as you can, it was him. To the twins, saying you're just totally slow.
Okay, Jacket is doing the loudest. That's all I heard.
Loudest. So Jacket is doing the loudest, quietest scream.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. It's like he's literally like, if you could have screamed out loud with making as little sound as possible, that's what he's like.
Let me clear that up.
Please.
So they edited it to look different than it actually was, right? So
Right.
when I walked over to Ida and started counting with her, I'm like, where are you? And she's counting out loud and she's counting louder so I can hear her. And I was just like counting with her. And then we get close to 456. I look at Jacket. He looks at me. He says, push it. Like he's talking to me in that moment. He's not talking to the twin, right? So he tells me, push it. I tell the twin, push it. I pointed to him and I was like, push it. I yelled, push it. And that's when the button got down. So Jacket was not yelling at anyone. He was just yelling at me because I looked at him and I said, I shook my head and I was like, push it. And he was like, push it. And so then I told him to push it. And that's what actually happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Already pushed it in though, didn't he?
No.
no.
No. Jacket was like, he
So-
was responding to me, actually.
So this is even beforehand when in the edit they show that Jacket saying through slow. Alicia, you can see her eyes coming out of her sockets. And so
Because they said it's too slow.
I love Alicia.
It's so
Yeah.
slow. Yes. That
Yeah.
was before.
So everybody saying it's slow. That was before. So the moment that, so from what it looks like in the edit, like slowing it down a bit and reading lips, it looks like he's at 450, 451, and he's standing. That's when he stands up.
He was
Now,
at the end.
please, you have Jacket stands up around that time frame where he's at 450, 451. He stands up and he kind of just taps your shoulder, taps your elbow. Yeah. Can you please tell the entire world your side of the story, which I think Jacket's side of the story is seen on TV, but your side of the story, well, I think I got it from right afterwards. But can you tell the world what happened then? Tasha.
All it really was, honestly, is him walking over and he's counting out loud so I can hear him now. And I'm just responding and saying no. And then I later found out that he was tackled, and then I saw it on the show. But I saw this flurry of movement, and that was when that happened. When he came up to me, and then everyone started moving, and I'm just like, "What in the hay is going on?" And because I questioned that one moment in my mind, I lost the count in my mind because everyone was moving around me, and I was just like, "What the hell?" That was it. That was all it took. And Jackie gets
they did
tackled.
start yelling at Jacket and grabbing him and stuff like that. Yeah.
The guy, I remember someone with tattoos on his head, and I don't remember his name, but I remember him the most.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes, I remember him the most in that situation. He was angry. I was like, oh damn, poor Jacket. No. Poor baby.
Yeah, that was a moment right there. I remember that exact moment. It was like a mini chaos, a mini quick chaos. Yeah.
Mini? Like, maybe because you all were up in the front. I was in the back. At that point, I was in the back, but seeing everything almost like, like a panoramic view.
I heard there were fights.
There were fists thrown. There were things happening back there. Yeah.
I stepped in between two people and broke them up, so.
Are you kidding?
Oh, there you go.
And that was before the count.
Boy.
And
that was before that.
You bring up a good point. Like, we were up in the front, right? Mm-hmm. So what was going on up in the front, it was, to me, and she may feel the same way, is like those other people for a second, they might not have even been there, because the intensity that what was happening right there in our little circle.
And like,
so all that went away for a minute,
right? We weren't paying attention, and they were so far away as well. Like, you couldn't really pay attention. You were only really able to pay attention to those who were immediately around you. And even those people, like, I don't even remember most of the people who were immediately around me, except for the people that I personally knew from the hotel, So, it was very much, we were in a bubble. And then, like, when that button got pushed, I don't know if I'm moving ahead a little bit here, but when that button got pushed and everyone sort of, I don't know if you guys remember this, but everyone ran to the center of the room to where we were.
Yes.
And people were crying and like hugging me and like all these things. And I was so caught off guard because it was like you said, it was like we forgot those people were like paying attention to what was going on in the middle of the room. And then like everyone came in all at once. And it really I was just so taken aback by that. But it was
I remember when the button was pressed and I looked over. And I don't know if y'all know Ryan. Ryan, he was sitting over on the bunker.
We know
he
Ryan.
Stayed there, and he looked at me. And he was like, "Did we make it?" I was like, "No."
I knew in my heart we didn't make it.
Oh, I knew. I already knew. Now my thing was how it was going to work out, like who they were going to give it to, the O's or the X's. That's all I was thinking about. But I knew, honestly, we didn't make that number.
Can I say something about that? And I don't know if you can keep this in the podcast or not, but personally, I think once you were chosen to be in that room, you were destined to fail because that's the money shot. That is the dorm, So if I was a producer and I wanted that money shot, that would be the room to go. I'm just trying to think of it from like a producer's perspective. So I don't know. I feel like that.
I think they saw all the exes saw that we had the personality. When I spoke with Vanessa, she's like, "You had the personalities," and this was before they even knew what the game would have been.
Yeah.
So they were worried. Some of them were worried that because we had the vivacious personality, you don't know what the hell's going on. Well, you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know it's a button game at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that they did read that the O's had the which is down like the
rocked.
We had great TV.
Yeah.
I also think if they noticed something like what you just said, they would have also noticed the amount of caused chaos in our that was with us. It was like a half and half. I'm sorry. All those people who were up on that rail over there, trouble, screaming, hollering, cursing, acting crazy.
They're like,
Yeah.
y'all are too ratchet.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's too many too ratchet. Like it's some of y'all good ones in here, but dang, you ratchet, man, you terrible. You won't shut the hell up.
We were wild, guys. We were wild.
Yeah, it was wild in that room. It was wild in that room.
It really was. It really was.
Okay, so I talk about the X twin and the O twin difference there, and then we have this section, the selection chaos. The tragedy of this noise was that it nearly drowned out our salvation. We actually possessed the precise expertise required to win. Sitting quietly amidst the shouting was Roger, player 350, a music teacher with decades of experience in rhythm and tempo who could hold a beat in his sleep. Recognizing the danger of the moment, I physically pushed Roger toward the front using my activator strength to force an expert into the driver's seat. I told him he needed to do this, so Roger stood up and walked towards the stage. In a fleeting moment, it seemed like we were good. Now, is that what happened on your end, Roger?
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
And Tasha, I think I need to add a couple more with you because you had another musician, Tasha, who stood up participate. See, I didn't get enough of your story on that, so I have to add a little more to this on your story here. And then we also have Jacket, who was very confident, right? He was somebody that had the energy that conveyed an intensity of a man who's run the simulation 1,000 times. And he also apparently played red light, green light in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Listening to gunshots.
Yeah.
Counting to make sure that he had the right number of seconds to move and not move. So, which is why he was so confident with his count. Okay.
Yep.
So when the count began, the room was tense. The plan appeared fragmented because Ida mimed chest compressions while counting aloud to keep the beat. Tasha stood nearby with one hand over her ear and her eyes closed to count to herself. The room remained silent save for Ida's shaky voice counting each mock chest compression. Jacket sat on the floor and sensed we were out of sync. He ran his own count using the technique he perfected in his training. He knew Ida was going too slow. The twin mouthed to him, asking if she thought he was slow, and Jacket emphatically mouthed it slow. Now, perhaps it was his activator. He couldn't just sit on his hands, so he stood up and approached Tasha and tapped you. Did he tap you on the shoulder? I want to make sure I get this part correct. Was it on the shoulder?
I don't actually remember, to be honest. We'll have to watch the footage again.
451, 452, 453. This is good.
But I feel like
I think he like just did a little like just
yeah, I think so. I don't really remember, to be honest.
at 450. We're gonna add a little more to this. So that single decision. So I think I had to add like you saw the chaos around you, but that single decision to reach out and touch Tasha broke her rhythm and severed the lifeline of over 100 people.
Yep.
And in our post-elimination autopsy, you and I met right afterwards. Tasha looked me in the eye and confirmed this nightmare scenario. Jacket's tap was the precise millisecond her internal clock shattered. This moment stands as the ultimate brutal definition of the gap between intent and impact, observed by 200 players vibrating with the desperation of $4.5 million at stake.
Can I make one note about that?
Please.
So it was a combination, right, of him tapping me on the shoulder and the room just dissolving into chaos. Because that was really the moment when everyone, it wasn't Jacket that did it. It was when everyone else tried to get Jacket. That's what actually did it. So,
People start screaming, what
yeah.
you doing? Or they started screaming, hollering.
Yeah.
And someone even grabbed him, I believe.
Yes, someone tackled him. I
Yes.
think it was the guy with the tattoos.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes, it
what
was the guy
I
with the tattoos.
saw. Yeah, that's what I was
Yes.
seeing when the question of what the hell is happening.
And I don't know what Ida was doing during that time.
What was she doing the entire time?
Because we all got caught in that moment right there. So I guess he just kept counting.
She's like, I'm still ready.
We were still behind. Damn.
Oh, he's just-
Nah, but
God.
let me tell you something about Ida though. Ida was really holding it together. When she was doing the counting, she was holding it together because as soon as that button got pressed, Ida fell apart. And I don't know if you guys saw, but I was hugging her the entire time. And it wasn't so it wasn't because, oh, we're the counters and we're in this together. It was because she was hyperventilating, she was crying, she was falling apart in that moment because the pressure literally got to her right after we finished. And I guess she just fell apart in that moment. So I gotta hand it to her though. She kept her composure in the moment, and I guess that's credit to her being an emergency worker. And then as soon as a moment was over, she let loose and just she couldn't, take it anymore. And so like I was literally just holding her and rubbing her arms and telling her it's okay, we're gonna be fine. I'm like, you're gonna be on TV, girl. Like you're gonna it's gonna be great. Like I'm just trying to give her positive, things to say. just trying to get her to calm down because it took a lot out of her. I'll tell you that. So everybody,
you were with us. You were with us the whole next day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You
Well, why don't we talk about what happened in the aftermath? So obviously we know we died. So we at least saw you, both of you all had your epic, shots right there. So at least, you got that, you got that squid ink all over y'all and you got that. I mean, hey, that's it. That's epic. All of us are going to lose except for the one person who was left standing, quite literally left standing. Everybody else fell down. So, which, by the way, I don't know if you watched my episode with Faith, but he's like, get down on your knees, get down on your knees. If you haven't watched my episode with Faith, you should watch both parts. It is, it is fantastic.
It went in my mouth, and I just started cursing and screaming.
Oh, you got that one. You got that shot where they got, and you're like, whoa.
Like, why are you making that face? I said, because that stuff went in my mouth.
Oh, let's make sure we show. Okay, on the video, we're gonna have boo Tasha, boo Roger.
Hey. I just said I went out like a Bollywood star. Okay.
Oh Lord, please don't let me be. I seem edgy. I never mean to take it out.
Silence musicians, like we all deserved at least. I think, and I stand by it. I think we had an episode that got lost, and I think there was so much chaos because you couldn't show the entire O thing without showing also this chaos that arguably got way too ruckus. So then they had decided Netflix probably was like, nah, let's just bury them.
It's not PC
I
enough.
totally believe that. It's almost like how you see them sitting there on the show, looking at the people doing what they're doing, sitting there watching and taking note of what was happening as well.
I don't know. I still feel like that room was the money shot. That's really
No, that room was definitely the money shot. I think we're bound to lose one way or the other, but I was hoping we'd get an episode. There was a few moments since Henry and I were secret that entire time. Like there were a couple of things we did.
That's
like even in the few hours we did, like we had a little peck in the corridor to the bathroom. Like there were like little things that could have gave us all, of course you two as well, a lot more story. We were all, I think, active, way more like we were like among the most active, even though Roger, we didn't get to see you. Tasha, we didn't get to hear you, except for I think one voiceover, but we didn't get to see even like one confessional from you. Was there anything from those confessionals that you wish was shown? This is our chance. Please tell the Squid Strengths world.
Oh my gosh. I did not even, I don't, in the confessionals, To be honest, dude, I was super, like, everything I say here and in public is what I said in the confessional. And, like, I was adamant to not, like, throw anyone under the bus. I was trying to be empathetic. I was trying to see it from a perspective. And, like, I kept it all, like, consistently, like, well, everything I've said on my social media, everything I'm saying here, everything I said in the interviews. And at the end of the interview, really, the producer at the end, she was just like, "You're just a really nice person, aren't you?" And I'm like, "I try to be." And that was kind of it, you know, like I feel like they did try to rile me up a little bit, but like, I was angry, but I wasn't really angry, you know, like I was asked the question, I was asked the question like, "Oh, how do you feel that, you know, these two people cost you $4.56 million?" And I was like, whatever, like I try to be a team player, and that's the best I can do, like, honestly. So
You're too nice. You didn't have any, you know.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe I'm too nice for reality TV.
Nah, I think you just need to take more. Both of you need to take more charge and not been the silence musicians.
Yeah.
But if I were up there, I'd be like, I'm not leaving here until they are the ones counting.
I wish I had that confidence while I was there, man. Truly.
Because I knew I didn't have the count, but I could at least be the one that be like, these two are the ones that can do it.
And the funny thing is, both Roger and I are teachers, right? I'm also a teacher, and like I taught hundreds of people, and I was a TA in college for music classes and things like that. So, you know, we have this ability to lead and direct a room, right? And direct a room, like to read a room essentially. So I find it it's ironic that we're the two that didn't really, yeah.
Well, I'll say in my like confessionals or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, I told what was going on in the room. Yeah. And I think that was one reason why, because they didn't show any of that stuff that went on and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
And they asked me about it. And I told them, you know, the chaos, the fight, you know, because all that stuff you could see and it was very apparent that it was going on. You know, once we got up there and we started talking, we were up there focused on what we were focused on for a moment. But before, it was going on. And, you know, that's what I talked about, or that's, you know, the type of questions they asked me. And then I did, you know, the one about your life and stuff like that. That was, you know, just telling pretty much who you are. Yeah.
So they had an edit that would have been, because they only had 9 episodes. We had 9 episodes. I think the season had a lot more substantive content than season 1, where there are at least like 3 episodes where they have these boring dorm tests.
Well,
and
I thought
at least there was definitely, I think we got the lost episode. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was definitely thinking at least we would be most of episode 1, even coming into the dorm. But that was like, boom, they're in the dorm. And then it's on to the next
2 seconds later, here are these 2 brave twins coming up. They didn't even say that pre-existing relationships. They didn't even go through that. So it's just like, here we go. There's 2 brave twins. They spent just as much time on the twins deciding who to eliminate afterwards.
And
we were a hook.
I know what messed a lot of people mentally, first of all, was that we did not do red light, green light. That just messed you off the break. Yeah.
And that's a physically taxing task, you know? So I feel like it would have been something to do in the beginning of the game rather than at the end of the game. Everyone expected that doll at the beginning of the game. And that's the iconic Squid Game.
I wasn't mad or anything like that, but I was just like, wow. Yeah. I didn't get to play a game.
Yeah. Straight up.
Well, Roger, you could have played more of a game. Let's be real here, okay, Roger? You specifically could have, but I think both of you are very kind. And I think we can see definitely where I think this is the tale of, here's the real world Roger and Tasha. You know, you're very kind folks who want to just get things done, you know, do things the right way, put that way. And you have the pressure cooker of the Squid Game dorm and this game to count, which none of us have heard of, but it's a very simple game, which both of you in your lives have trained for decades, like literally But somehow, because of this entire environment, all of that training kind of took aside, like it basically stepped aside to the pressure. Can you tell me a bit about when you've had a chance to reflect about the pressure, how that impacted you in the game, but also afterwards as you reflected, and how that's impacted the way you look at life today?
Well, I will say the decisions I made were not due to like being pressured or anything in a situation like that, or I'm not a weak person because I didn't walk up there first. What
I mean, the
that
pressure
is,
of the entire the environment
oh, well,
itself.
no, well, you're in the environment, even in that situation, control and order needs to be at the forefront.
Yeah.
What happened with us is, or even I'll speak for myself, and I'll let Tasha speak for her. What happened with me is when you get in a situation when you have a smaller group of people and you all are making a decision, therefore I may not be the exact leader of that group if we're working together. Right? Taking what everybody else's opinion is or their thought process or what they may have to say in order to help inform my decision. So in this also, I look at the 4 people up there that could have been chosen. How am I even any better than those 3? Right. So we were all up there. And, if the man who is going to be our leader, which is the twin, right, and he's the leader, we relinquish. The whole room did it. We relinquished our authority to him. The whole room did it, right? And we let him choose who was going to be the people to choose. And when he made that decision, that's when I said, well, good, we'll let the ladies do it then, because that's who he picked.
Dude, when I heard the challenge, it was like I was just a kid on the playground, to be honest with you. I'm just like, I can do this. I can do this. I should do this. Like, that was it. Like, this is me. Let me do this. Like, that was just it. I was just like, I want to win. I don't want us to lose. And I feel like all of y'all would make us lose. I feel like I can make us win. So that's always in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have
No
this combo
pressure.
of like, the dopamine and the cortisol going on. I don't know what the
like, here's the thing.
biochemistry is, but it's like,
Here's the thing though, like, I really went into that arena super calm and comfortable because, like, I was not nervous at all because, like, in my head, I'm like, I was meant to be here. Whatever happens is meant to happen, and I can't fight it. So, like, I'm just gonna have fun with this shit, you know? Like, I am here I'm getting my flight paid, my hotel paid, all my food paid, transportation, everything is paid. I am here for free, and I have the privilege of being able to go and do that and not have to worry about life and like interfering.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was really just in a happy place. Like, I'm in my hotel room, quarantined for however many days. Like, they come and check on me and they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I am great. I am reading my book. I'm watching my TV. Like, I was just in a very relaxed place.
Oh, that's good.
I can chill by myself. I can do it. And then I can chill with groups, a big group. So I'm also like a people person. I work in industries where I come in touch with a lot of different people. So being around strangers is not like nerve-wracking for me. And then like I'm also used to being on camera. So like I'm a live streamer and things like that. So like I'm used to being on all the time, you know? So I was just in my element, I guess. Like it was just comfortable. Right? Like that.
It's just the comedy of errors that cascaded. I think if we had just a little more calm, we would have turned on there's a game in play as well. I already did my thing where I pushed up Roger and I made my peace with that part of the game. I played the game. That to me, I played the game by bringing up Roger, and that I think was the correct decision. So I played the game. Other people were NPCs and they just stood around, and some people should have stayed as NPC. But that is what it is.
It is what it is.
Non-player character, just to make sure everybody knows, non-player character.
Just what it is.
But overall, it was great to meet some good people.
Yeah.
I'll do it again.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Let's. Hey, they know where to hit us up. Well, where do you think we would have landed? Now, ideally, if we continued. What happened with at least Henry and I, who knew how long we could stay secret?
I feel like I would have passed mingles. I don't know. So when I went into this game, and this is one of the things that I said, if you listen to the very opening of the show, you'll hear woman say, I think it's important to make friends in this game because
That's you?
know, you have that's me, right? Talking. That was from the interview. And
Yeah.
so I really genuinely went in with the idea that, I really just want to make friends and network and see what kind of cool people they're casting on the show. And I really wanted to just see how production happens and like this sort of thing. Because I don't know anything about this. This is my first time. So, for me, it was just like being friendly. And I feel like I would have made allies. And I already had allies. I had a few allies already going into the first game. And I'm still friends with them to this day. And so, like, I think I would have had, like, people on my side. And then that also, everybody needs to remember that this is still a competition, right? So we can't get hung up on if we don't choose each other. Like, we don't even know each other. Like, we barely know each other. So, like, don't get mad if I choose somebody over you. Like, that's just what it's going to be. But I feel like I would have made it past mingles. I'm talking big right now.
And I think like one thing you have to realize is that you have to work with people that are very different than you as well and have complementary strengths and different lived experiences and all these things. And you have very little time to like recognize all that. And this is a game where it's really not about physical strength. Very, very little of it is that. It's about social strength. It's about how you bring people together, the right people together, to bring your game forward, at the same time bring their game forward. And that is a very difficult thing to thread. And if we couldn't even freaking count and get our shit together, I mean, man. Like Larry was saying is like, once he got up from his shock, he's like, there's like over 200 grown ass men and women yelling, who the hell can count?
And then someone saying, one, two,
among the other words.
We have tons of words in his episode too. I have to definitely put the explicit tag on that one. So
They left all of that out.
Oh man!
Everyone in our group, the O's, we had a lot of emotions. Like people had a lot of emotion. I'm not gonna say we because I was just happy to be there, but like a lot of people had a lot of emotions. And I feel like if you go into something like this, you really have to prepare yourself mentally. Because if you let your emotions just take over like that, it's going to haunt you, right? You're going to traumatize yourself. So you have to really be careful with that and try to stay level-headed. And you go into reality TV, remember, it's just TV. It's just a game. Chill. Just chill.
Correct.
Tasha, it's so great you say that, and I'll say my little final bit too, just to piggyback on what she said. Don't leave your everything to go to the reality show, because if you don't win that, it's going to destroy you. You're going to be hurt. So be careful with that and make sure your life is to go back to that life.
Do you meet people that were there a lot of people you met that basically said, I'm gonna quit my job, whatever, to do Squid Game?
There was at least, I know, 2 or 3 of them. The one there was one girl on the floor crying in the dorm. Oh. Some people left their
Sarah's
life,
one of them.
quit their job, they left.
And I remember there was one really big guy. I don't remember his name, but he was like the guy there, and he was very upset. Like I was like consoling him as we like left because he was really upset and crying that we didn't get to play a game. And everybody like did so much to get there and gave up so much to be there, and that's what really breaks my heart. Like, and Roger is so right. Don't give up things that are important to you just for to take a risk like that.
Realize.
If you can't come back to that, and then you still get that same love, or you still have your same livelihood. Right. Be careful.
Right. Perfect.
And this is why we have.
But hey,
Yeah. Well, we have 3. We have 3 coaches on the line right now. All 3 of us have coached in our top 5. So that was very much a coaching moment here. Well, thank you so much, Tasha and Roger. First of all, y'all over delivered. More importantly, I think this was the story that needed to be shared. This was the piece of it.
Thank you for doing your due diligence.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah. That means a lot. That means that you just don't know. That means a lot.
It truly does.
You're wanting to get it right, and
Yes.
that's what it's about.
Yes.
The duo that could have been, but it's one of those things where that's another thing too, is you got to quickly assess. And I think you two, if left kind of in like just on your own, would have worked together. But because there's so many other variables going on, there was not enough time to even reconcile that and realize, we should be working together.
Me and Tasha clicked so great the very next day. I mean, like it was beautiful.
Yeah, the chemistry is there. Yeah.
I know. I knew it. I knew once I met you, I'm like, the moment I met you, Tasha, I'm like, damn it. Like we had it. Because I knew I brought up Roger. So I knew that. I don't think you knew I brought up Roger. And then I meet you immediately after, like I would take off all of our, all of our ink soaked clothing. And you were definitely in a state where I think you were very composed, but you also were just very kind of resigned as well. Like, and I'm like, damn it. Like, I worked with both of you. And we would have also done really well afterwards, but nonetheless.
Hey, sometimes it's not meant for then, it's meant for later.
Yeah.
So.
And here we are now. So yes.
At least we have each other.
Yes. We do. We do. Well, I want to get all of our purple squad here in Thailand. I live in Bangkok now. So if we can find a way to get us all here, hey, let's have a big Thailand trip.
And maybe a stray gray.
Maybe a stray
gray, okay? I'll be going to Thailand with you, is what I'm saying. You understand, Brian?
Oh,
I'm inviting myself. I'll be a purple in the sky.
Like, make sure you include my seat.
I'll be that stray gray.
You know what? We're gonna make. I thought you were doing like 50 Shades, so maybe there's gonna be a shade coming in.
Get the whole gray cohort to team up with the purple.
Gotta be careful. We don't want to bring all 228 of the O's back.
No, just the gray.
Wait, something. Okay, gray, purple, and the gray. Okay, the grays are great.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay.
Anyways.
Any last thoughts as we wrap up?
Just thank you for what you're doing.
Well, yeah, first and foremost, thank you for doing this. And
pleasure to speak to you, Tasha.
You too, Roger. And I just want to say that, I hope we can all just be happy and be grateful and not shit on each other. That's it.
Let's not shit on each other. There you go.
Let's have civilized conversations and try to be understanding.
The optimist. All right. Well, thank you to my silenced musicians here who I felt I played a game and I got to play with both of you in some way, even though it's not the way I wanted to happen. But hey, we figured something out and I feel like I was more in it than most of these other NPCs who just stood around and cried or tackled or were barbarians, whatever. They didn't even know who the hell you were. I had the honor of meeting both of you that fateful day. So thank you very much for joining us on Squid Strengths.
Thank you for having us.
Wow. Just wow. First of all, shout out to Tasha's iPhone for fighting for its life during that recording. But honestly, the technical glitches felt almost poetic given the sheer chaos we were just talking about. For a year, I thought the story of Team O was simple. I thought we were too loud and they were too quiet. But after looking at those HIGH5 reports, and after hearing Roger tell me he did try to stop the room, and hearing Tasha say she's been counting stoplights since she was 5 years old, I realize I was dead wrong. As someone wrapping up an EDD in human resource development, I can tell you unequivocally, this wasn't a failure of talent. It was a failure of architecture. If you are a leader, a manager, or just someone trying to survive your own corporate Squid Game, I need you to lean in. Because we just watched a masterclass in how to destroy high-performance talent. Here is the forensic truth of what actually happened in that dorm. First, look at the engine. I pulled our working together report. My number one strength? Catalyst. Roger's number one? Catalyst. Tasha's number two? Catalyst. That is the secret sauce. A catalyst is someone who hates stagnation. We are the spark plugs. When that room was debating, talking in circles, and wasting time, our brains were physically screaming, "Move." That is why I shoved Roger to the front. That is why Tasha stood up. We weren't trying to be heroes. We were trying to end the stagnation. But here is the shadow of the catalyst. And I'll be the first to admit my own fault here. We are impatient. I was a spark plug acting like a bulldozer. We started the movement before we established the safety. We sparked the fire, but we didn't build the fireplace. And that leads to the tragedy of Roger. I looked at his profile and my heart broke. His number 5 strength is timekeeper. Listen to the definition. Timekeepers enjoy setting up processes and timelines, but they feel confused in chaotic circumstances. We took a man whose biological superpower is order and deadlines, and we forced him to lead in a riot. He didn't give up. We deactivated his hardware. He tried. He used his coach voice to say, "Clap if you hear me." But a timekeeper cannot function without a container. We failed to build him a container, so his genius evaporated. And then Tasha. She isn't just an optimist. She is a peacekeeper. Her nervous system is wired to detect friction and smooth it out. When Jacket was tackled to the floor, when the shouting started, that wasn't just noise to her. That was violence. A commander would have gotten angry and fought back. A peacekeeper gets drained. Her brain didn't lose the count because she wasn't focused. Her brain lost the count because it switched into protection mode. She stopped counting seconds and started trying to survive the aggression. And the ultimate proof? Look at what she did the second we lost. She didn't rage. She held Ida while she hyperventilated. She switched instantly from competitor to healer. That is exactly who she is. So, what is the lesson? If you want to win, you don't need more smart people. We had the musician, we had the singer, we had the consultant, we had the PhD. We had the highest collective IQ in the game, and we died first. Why? Because Team X built a choir. They assigned a conductor, and everyone else agreed to be silent. Team O built a riot. We let everyone sing their own song. If you are leading a team today, look at your people. Do not put your timekeeper in chaos and expect them to deliver. Do not put your peacekeeper in a war zone and expect them to focus. And if you have a catalyst like me, make sure you have a commander to steady the boat after they rock it. We learned the hard way. It doesn't matter how good the music is if nobody can hear it. Signing off from Bangkok, I'm Coach Bryant. Stay regulated. And for the love of God, check your volume.